Yes, people. What's going on? It's Eagle Talks Football. I'm back again with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, I got an astute panel for you guys, and we're going to be talking about all the stuff that happened this weekend. Tottenham getting slapped by Newcastle. What was it? 6-1 at the end, and it was probably one of the craziest first halves I've seen Tottenham ever playing. They got slapped 5-0 at halftime. Then you got the Manchester Derby is now going to be the FA Cup final is now going to be called the Manchester Derby because both the Manchester clubs went to the Derby, and it's the first time it's going to be there. And we also got Roy in the house representing Chelsea. We're going to have Rom in the house representing Liverpool. And of course, we got Kendall representing Newcastle, Staffy representing Manchester United. We're going to have Patrick coming through representing City, and Alan, come outside. Where are you, Alan? Where are you? We're gonna have to hear from you in a bit. But this is a great panel. Big up to all the people in the comment section. I can already see Gunnar King in the comment section. I can see you in the comment section, Rum. Big up. Skills saying come outside, Tottenham fans. We're gonna have to hear from them. Tamia Ahmed saying asking about Saliba and asking about transfer news. You don't want to hear about Mason Mount to Arsenal. Come on. We don't want to hear about that. and then we got Alan is in the building. Big up Alan. Gunnar King is the Tottenham fan. Eagles on smoke. Steve was on the Thursday show representing Newcastle. Kendall's today representing Newcastle. Steve, you held it down on Thursday. Kendall's going to hold it down today. And, of course, we got Herb in the house saying Manchester United. Big up the panel. Big up everyone. Smash the like buttons, people. Let's get the show started. Before we go any further, I just want to say we got a debutante on the show today. We got Roy. Roy has never been on the panel before. Big up, Roy. How you feeling, bro? How you feeling? I know. Let me know a little bit about how you feeling about Chelsea this season, man.
Then thanks for having me on for the first time. I feel like it's a bit overdue, but you know what? Better late than never. In terms of Chelsea, like I haven't really got much to say, man. Like we're just shit. Like I don't know what else I can say. Like I genuinely do not. I didn't expect us to get 3 points potentially for the rest of the season, apart from Bournemouth away, which knowing us will probably shit the bed and not win. Forest at home again will probably shit the bed and not win. I genuinely think we might go winless the rest of the season. So I've already put myself on autopilot. To all the NBA watchers, I'm already in Cancun. I'm on holiday, waiting for the next season, and we'll go from there. But honestly, I'm checked out more than you can believe.
No worries, man. You know what? To the Chelsea fans watching, big up to you guys. You guys have been through a tough season. I think this season's worse than any of our banter seasons. Let's be honest. They've been through enough already. Alan, this is your turn. You're going to get slapped up today after Newcastle got slapped you guys up 5-0. Staffy's in the house celebrating. Your boys are in the final. You must be ready. Mamba Zone, I can see you. You're not even smiling. You're just like, you know what? Job's not finished.
Me? I'm angry. I'm not going to lie to you. I just woke up today just feeling angry. I didn't like the vibe from the Manchester United fans. I'm angry at my own fan base. And this guy up top right here, this guy is talking hella shit all weekend. And I'm like, oh, he's predicting everything in life, predicting the boxing, predicting, I don't know, like some albums. I don't know what was going on. And like, I don't know who he thinks he is. And I'm like, okay, we'll have a talk tomorrow. And here we are. We're here to talk, man. I heard all week how Brighton is going to slap us up 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Oh, Sevilla turned this over. So imagine Brighton. So I'm here to talk about this, man.
You know what? That's gonna be second on the docket because I didn't know Rum and Staffy had this thing going on. But you know what?
Twitter, bro. Go on Twitter.
We're gonna have to put you guys next. We're gonna have to put you guys next to each other, and we're gonna put Kendall and Alan next to each other because.
And listen, bro, smash the like button. I'm up here. Listen, I'm up here talking all this shit for our fan base, and we just made a final. So if that's not enough for you to smash that like button, I don't know what else is.
There you go. Let's get that likes. We already got 20 likes. We got 24 of you guys in the chat. Keep hitting that like button and keep letting us know how you guys feel. But Alan, before you rant, we got to go to Kendall. Kendall, how you feeling? The victorious scenes, 5-0 at halftime. Absolutely having the Tottenham fans beside themselves. One of the worst performances from a Tottenham side, but one of the best performances from a Newcastle side. Kind of makes me scared that we still have to come to your ground at this moment in time. But let me know how you feeling, Kendall.
Yeah, you know what? I'm genuinely not scared for any game at home for the rest of the season now. I just needed that out of the way because last week we were so stinking. I literally can't. Against Aston Villa, we absolutely stank so badly. And I was like, I just need this game out of the way so that we don't, I just can like live calm in the fact that we can actually be back to our old selves. And a 6-1 win is perfect, absolutely perfect against Tottenham as well. A team that we've not traditionally done well against, but we have beaten them twice this season. So I am more than happy to break tradition. So I'm actually really annoyed. I tell you what, I'm annoyed at one thing in the whole game. We didn't keep a clean sheet. I'm actually genuinely really annoyed at that because the goal that we gave away as well was so shit. Like, I was literally so poor. I don't even know why. Sorry. It was so bad to give away. It was just very, very. It was just like reminiscent of last week. And my PTSD was like, don't do this to me, because if this ends up 5-5, I am literally. I just can't deal with that. But yeah, 5 goals in 21 minutes was better than I've ever seen. And obviously you guys all talk about, you know, the bad times, the banter seasons. My banter seasons have actually come in the Championship, and not some of you won't know what that is, luckily. And I remember we played, I think it was QPR, and I'm pretty sure it ended up we were 5 goals up in the first half and it ended up 5-5. So I was like, you know what, I'm just not even going to get excited until that 6th goal went in. I was like, I'm just not even going to get excited about this.
You're telling me that
you had nothing to worry about.
I know everyone said that I had nothing to worry about, but I cannot shake the PTSD of like being a bad team. I
saw your tweet saying that you were nervous before the game, and
I was literally in the car on the way there, like I can't.
You went to the game.
You were at the game.
Yeah. I go every single home game because I've got a season ticket. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Listen, I think we said it last game. Me and Miguel, I saw nothing other than an easy Newcastle win. And this is really not a diss at you, Alan. I'm sorry. I know you're like one of those rational Spurs fans. I saw an easy game for Newcastle. I didn't think it would be that much. I saw an easy 3-0 in the first half, something like that. Obviously, what happened was a freak result. 5 in 20 minutes. But I don't understand why you were nervous.
It's because this is what I mean. Like when yous are bad, and like when you've had a bad result, and this game means a lot to us because it's been 20 years since we were last in the Champions League. So like this game for us was, and even it's the first time Eddie Howe said this season as well. He's always like a game by game guy. He's like, look, I take each game as it comes, and this is the first time he's actually says, this is a massive game this is the biggest game of our season so far. So that's how important it was. So I just knew like we had to do something, because especially how bad we were last week. I was like, I just don't know if I can handle this. And this is not the game that I would want coming off the back of a 3-0 loss at Aston Villa. So yeah, to do what we did today was just elite. Jacob Murphy, elite. Like his face on that second goal, and I was literally in stitches because we have like a big screen in the corner and it zoomed right in on his face, and he was just like, because I don't even think he knew it was going to go in. Joelinton was absolutely elite today, like elite. He just like the best performance I've ever seen in a black and white shirt. In fact, though, he is always good against Tottenham. I don't know what it is, but he just loves playing against Tottenham. Always has a goal against Tottenham.
You never know.
Maybe, but Joe Willock today, new trim Joe Willock, fresh trim Joe Willock, absolutely chef's kiss. A gal knows that I have backed this guy like from the minute he stepped foot in a Newcastle shirt, even when he was on loan. And honestly, today he was just fantastic. Alexander Isak, what more is there to say about him?
You backed him?
Yeah, no. I was underwhelmed about the signing when he first signed, remember? But literally from the minute he stepped in a black and white shirt, I've backed him since then. I was underwhelmed initially.
I think Joelinton deserves a lot of credit. He just ran this midfield.
I think Roy said something in between Rom and Kendall's point.
Oh, no, I was going to say, as in, like, I'm not really buying all this. Oh, when we got the 6th goal, then I was happy. There's no way you didn't switch off earlier than that. I refuse.
No, honestly, I'm genuine, dead serious. Me, my dad, and my brother are all sat. My dad's been going to the game since 1975. Right, he is sat in not the same seat because we've got a different stand now, but a very similar seat. And he sat there and he was like, "Unless we score, like it got a 3-0," and my dad was like, "Nah, we need 4 because of the 4-4 against Arsenal, if anyone remembers that."
Yeah.
Right? So since then, my dad knows that you can come back from 4-0 down. So when we went 5-0 before half-time, my dad was like, right, we just need the next goal in the second half, and then we're fine. And then Tottenham got it, so we were like, oh no, can't be dealing with this, 5-5, like, oh my God. But yeah, so until the 6th goal went in, I was like still really, like, I was nervous.
Go ahead.
Kendall, I understand PTSD, and I don't like coming for Alan because he's probably one of the most unbiased Spurs fans. He's level-headed, but this is Spurs. I told you for the game, got nothing to worry about. 2-0 up, you are completely fine. I don't know when Spurs. I don't know even if Spurs get a win in their remaining games. Maybe Leeds, but they are actually so poor. I can see them finishing 8th or 9th. The players don't know what's going on. Stellini don't know what he's doing. They've been like this.
You know what I thought was weird as well? Like, Stellini before the game was out training with the players, and I was like, I've not seen that from anyone before. Like, it was just like nothing to do with the game, but it was just like, I felt that was unusual because it's very, very, very rare that I'm at the game and I see a manager out on the pitch like before the game. They're normally like in the dressing room, like sorting stuff out and whatnot. But I just thought it was really weird. And then, yeah, as soon as that first goal went in, I was like, oh.
Guys, before Alan has his angry rant, I'm just gonna say this. Joe Willock, shout out to Joe Willock. Once a Gooner, always a Gooner. He loves performing against Tottenham. And to be honest, anyone who's saying revisionary history, saying Arsenal should have kept him, sometimes you never know what players can become unless they're given that time to go somewhere where they can fully develop themselves and play with full freedom. Where at Arsenal, with our system, I don't think he'd ever be given the same level of freedom he's given at Newcastle. So shout out to Eddie Howe, shout out to Newcastle, great performance. And I just want to shout out another person I don't think Kendall even touched on yet, Isak.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Premier League, 10 goals in 14 games. The guy is clinical. And you guys have one of the best strikers in the league, I think, generally. No debate, in my opinion.
100%. He don't, because the last time we did that was Alan Shearer, and I can't deal. Him not had a good, like, the best striker in the league.
This is how much I trust Isak.
Pure panic, but yeah, big up to Joe Willock though as well, because he was very honest when he moved to Newcastle. Like, obviously on a permanent deal, and was like, I'm homesick. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've been at Arsenal since I was 8 years old. This is like new to me, and he did go through a really bad patch, like of form, and he just wasn't looking as good as he was. But honestly, he's worked really hard. He absolutely loves it here now. He's so complimentary of the fans, like the area, the club, like, so he's obviously enjoying it, and it's shown in his game as well, because he's honestly one of the best ball carriers in the league as well. He's just so good at carrying the ball. But yeah, he's just, I just don't have a positive to say about this team anymore. And now it's getting worse, because normally I'm like switched off at this point of the season, unless we're in a relegation battle, which is usually. So I'm like, you know what, we've got nothing to play for. We're finishing 13th, 15th, like there's nothing to play for. Now there's like everything to play for, and it's just like we're so far ahead of schedule. I just don't even know what I say
before Alan goes, we're gonna let Alan go. But Kendall, I messaged you, I think the first month of the season, and I said, be prepared for European football. And what did you say to me?
I just was like, no, I don't think we're ready for that yet. I had us finishing 9th, like, really. So in my prediction, so I was way wrong. way wrong with my own.
I don't think anyone predicted you guys in top 4 at all. But
no, I don't think so. Egal said European football. He did.
There is one guy, the guy who calls himself the GOAT. Don't forget Qasim. He said.
Oh yes,
he said it. He went on the football terrace game week 1 and said Newcastle making top 4. He said Chelsea finishing 7th. He wasn't wrong.
Crazy. It's very realistic, I guess.
Anyways, let's go, Alan. Alan, take it away, man. Alan, people are saying Alan rant incoming. You know what? This is what happens when you lose that bid. You have to get all the time. Go ahead. Take it away.
Take me full screen. I'm more depressed than anything. I'll tell you for why. For God's sake, keep me full screen, whatever. Touch on a few points before I start this. There's going to be some people that will come up because I'm coming for Arsenal later on as well, and I'll tell you for why. You can do this in football. When your team's bad and playing bad, you can still come for other fans based on the evidence in front of you. So people that's going to go, you can't say anything.
Fair enough.
But I expect it, and I'm going to get a load of shit from you guys here because Spurs lost 6-1. We didn't just lose 6-1. We got absolutely ruined today. We got absolutely destroyed. I was coming into this game going, I'll take a point at Newcastle because you've played really well this season. You're a good team. You're in the hunt for Champions League football. Spurs are playing bad. I'll take a point. Then before the kickoff comes out, we're playing 4-3-3, a back 4. Interesting that you choose a big game like that to change formation for the first time with a team that's used to 3-5-2, that have been playing bad under 3-5-2, that haven't defended as a 4. Okay, so you must have worked on that really well in training. You must have 2 banks of 4, like a bank of 4, the holding defender, or a bank of 3, and then you're going to plan a counter-attack. Did any of that happen? Absolutely fucking not. It was an absolute shambles from the beginning. Defense all at sea. Not one person knew what they were doing. You had sometimes Romero pushing up, Dyer dropping way too deep, Dyer pushing up, Romero dropping way too deep. Not that their fault was what they had no idea what they were doing. The fact is that then we had loads of different players making mistakes. Hugo Lloris, man must have forgot he had arms to save balls. Oh my God, he was absolutely awful. He's got worse over 3 or 4 seasons. Spurs fans know he's regressed. But there's come to a point where why the board have not decided we need to get a new keeper in before this season is beyond me. Romero looks like he doesn't care. He doesn't interest. I don't care if he's our £40 million defender. If you ain't going to put you all into every game, you can fuck off back to Italy where you came from. Perisic, I don't like Premier League and all that thing. I don't care. You can fuck off back to Italy. You've got Porro, who can't defend, but he's gone from a wing back, which is his position, to go back as a right back. Why on earth are you doing that? Because everything came down his side. They targeted him and bullied him all game long. You then got, and people will give Pape Matar Sarr a hard time because he got subbed off. I don't care about that. I want to bring attention to Højbjerg, the absolute fucking mug that was smiling 3-0 down. You absolute embarrassment. People go, he's our Viking, he should be captain. No, get him out of the club as well. There's a load of dross. Why on earth, and I will say this every week until he's gone, why are you taking out Conte? And people go, oh, we should have kept Conte. No, because he was a problem. We were playing poor under him. You then get rid of him, but you should have brought in a new manager. You then bring Stellini, which is Conte light, and gone to him, there you go. And he plays the exact same boring, mundane way. And then he changes things when he shouldn't change things because he can't change things because he's not an actual manager. And he gets Spurs absolutely destroyed by Newcastle. Newcastle deserve everything they got today. They saw Spurs. They saw how easy it was, and they went to town on us. It could have been. I'm not even joking. After that 20 minutes, I was thinking this is going to be double digits. It's because they took their foot off it in the second half points where they gave us an easy ride. They should have smashed us 9 or 10-1, 9 or 10-0. People going, oh, Harry Kane, oh yeah, he scored a goal. He's off in the summer. Son will be off in the summer, and if they don't get this rebuild right and bring the new managers, then Spurs will not be finishing top 10 next season. I've said it on the Football Terrace. I've said it here. Say it on my channel. I've literally had enough. Spurs are an absolute shambles from top to bottom at the moment. Nobody doing the right thing, and it's just fucking disgusting. I've had enough. And yeah, feel free to take the piss out of that.
Was Lloris injured, Alan, or like
No,
what was the crack there? I've never seen a goalkeeper come off at half time.
Yeah,
I was just like,
refused
that's
to come
just
out.
absolutely.
Apparently he had there's talks of a massive dressing room bust up, and apparently he said, I'm not going back out there. It weren't injury. There's just massive problems at Spurs that's enabled this to get to this stage because
I don't even blame him. I don't even blame him.
Sorry?
I said I don't even blame him for not going back out. I wouldn't want to go back out to that shit.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
then-
It was a part of it was his fault though. Like,
because his performance in goal was awful. If he had done everything he could to keep the score down, and he was amazing, and it was just one of them games. But he led the first shot. What weak arms to push that straight to the thing. Granted, defenders should have been there to see it out as well. But he pretty much popped it into his path for the goal. The third goal he didn't move for. The second goal when the ball was played over top, came sliding out, didn't even go for the ball, and I think it was Murphy that just danced around and popped in, or Isak, one of them. There were so many goals that quick. I forgot. Literally, all I saw was a black and white blur. That's all I saw, and I was
Alan, let me just say this. Let me just say this. I'm not even gonna cook anything. I'm just gonna say Hugo Lloris shouldn't. No. 1 second. Hugo Lloris shouldn't play another minute for Tottenham ever again. This should be Hugo Lloris. This should be his last game as a Tottenham Hotspur captain, as a Tottenham Hotspur player, anything.
I don't think he minds
that first 45 minutes was so bad from your whole team. He's your captain. He's one of your leaders in the dressing room. We already know about Harry Kane potentially leaving, but this guy, as you said, he's regressed that much. Your board are definitely going to have to look to replace him, as you've already said, but he shouldn't be playing for the rest of the season. If it's true that he didn't even want to come back out in the second half and he wasn't injured, you should never play for your club.
stupid thing as well is they put Fraser Forster in goal. Obviously, I know this is number 2, but he's a Newcastle Academy product. So then he was walking to the Gallagher, clapping everyone, and that, it's just, I don't even know why they did that. But shout out to our fans as well, I must say, because when Pape Sarr got taken off, we clapped him all the way around. And I know to some people that's kind of bad, right? But I genuinely felt sorry for him.
Rewind. Fraser Forster clapped your fans after he lost 6-1.
Yeah, no, he clapped before, when he came on, he was clapping the whole Gallagher,
He used to play for you, didn't he? Or he was
He's an
Yeah,
academy
yeah.
product, she said.
Yeah, he's out of our academy.
Okay.
You know,
I know.
That's crazy.
Damn,
I'll tell
yo,
you
people,
what, Spurs fan base,
81 people in the chat. Make sure you hit that goddamn like button. Alan, take it away. I'm sorry.
The Spurs fan base at the moment is so polarised in the fact that if you've got a favourite player, you back them to the death. If you've got a manager, you back them. And if you're Levy in or Enoch in or out, whichever way you do it for both of them, literally you can't see the opposite view. I seem to be the only Spurs fan that understands that it's the ball. Literally, you put Stellini in when you get rid of Conte. You don't bring in a new manager. The manager's tactics and all that with Conte and with Stellini that are both been shocking and bit bad performances in the way we've played. And also the players who aren't showing up. And I don't have my favourite player. One of my favourite players is Kulusevski. He's been absolutely shocking the last 2 months, 3 months. Stats have shown that he's got 1 assist, no goals, and hasn't dribbled past a player in about 3 months of football. That's how bad he's been. He needs to be dropped from the team. You give someone like Danjuma, when someone was playing as bad as Kulusevski is now, I was like, you should get him out. I said about dropping KANE when KANE wanted to leave and didn't want to play and all that. Get him out and all that. But Spurs fan base would go, oh no, I can't say anything about Son. Oh no, I can't say anything about Højbjerg. I can't say anything about this player. And I'm like, you can admit when players are shit to upgrade the squad. You can admit when they're that bad and get them out. When managers aren't good enough or managers haven't got the right tools to do the job. Or owners aren't backing, but it's so polarised at the moment that literally this will be Spurs. Spurs are just going backwards, and unless they get something tremendously right in the summer or the next year, Spurs will be 10 to 40 in the league.
Alan, you know how bad it's got as well. There was always that cliche saying. I tweeted it earlier that if you've got Harry Kane in your team, there's always a chance. Now you just know he's probably just going to score that consolation goal. That you just know Spurs are losing. And even when I look at the last 3 games you picked up points in, the Brighton game where they had criminal decisions go against them, Southampton, I think they got the last minute, they got a last minute draw, and even the other day against Everton, if there was an extra 5-10 minutes onto that, you probably lose that game as well. Yeah. I don't know what's going on at your club, honestly. That I don't think the players believe in anything. Obviously I'm not a Spurs fan, but if I was, I would be worried when your next win's coming, because I looked at your fixtures and I'd probably say Leeds, because I think they'd probably be down by then and they won't care. But when I look at the others, you've got United midweek, which they might be a bit tired, but I'd probably back them to win. You've got us at Anfield, and we're crap at the moment. But I'm saying from now, we're going to put 3 or 4 past you as well. Because at home, we're a different story. I'm big up a Gal for that, because I thought our home form wasn't good, and then you showed me, Rob, you've only lost
2 games. 2 games.
Yeah.
Let me just say this.
Form's quite good.
Roy, Mustafi, what you guys saying? Is Kane leaving Spurs this summer?
If anything, he's leaving on a cheap right now. He better.
Yeah, I think he does.
They're not.
I actually wanted to ask Alan, would you take Poch back?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, who do you want, Alan?
I'll tell you what. So he wasn't available when I was talking about new managers coming for Conte. He wasn't available. I would 100% put all your money and all your eggs in Nagelmann's basket. He can play multiple of systems. He doesn't just play with one system. He can play multiple systems. He plays with youth and all that, and he plays football on the front foot. I saw it when in Leipzig when they smashed us 3-0 out the Champions League under Mourinho, and obviously only bits and parts. Apparently, because you only see bits and parts of what they do under certain managers under different teams, you can't have a full say. Football fans today are just absolutely stupid, seriously. In regards to that, he done a good thing with Bayern Munich. He was unlucky to lose his job. I would go for that. In regards to Poch coming back to us, he wouldn't suit us purely for the fact is that Poch plays on the front foot, attacking football, and I mean high pressing, and he's like the way it was starting to foul under Son and Kane because they were getting older, and now they're like 31 and 30, so it's not going to happen. Poch, everything at Chelsea at the moment, the ingredients are there for him to have success, like when he came into Spurs and get the bars right. You've got a lot of attacking talent, brilliant talent as well that hasn't been haven't been unlocked at the moment because you've got obviously playing bad football or not playing the right system. I think Poch will get a lot more out of Chelsea than he would at Spurs. Not that I dislike Poch because he done great things for Spurs, just didn't win us the trophy. But yeah, I would say Poch would suit Chelsea and I would take Nagelsmann, but we're going to probably end up with a Brendan Rodgers.
You know what? I'm just going to throw it over to Rom and Kendall. Kane leaves. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I think he was leaving anyway, really, despite I don't think it mattered what
Yeah,
Tottenham did really. I think he was leaving.
He has to leave.
Now,
He has to leave for any hopes of having a legacy. It's outside of goal scoring. He has to leave. I feel like his position now is even easier if he wants to force a move at the club, and that's no disrespect to the club. It's just the situation that they're in. They're not going to be in Champions League no more. Conte left. The last couple seasons, there was like an excuse to say, okay, we got Mourinho. Okay, we got Conte. Okay, we can still strengthen the squad. We're in Champions League. None of that is available next year. This is the worst season he's probably had as a Spurs player, and with interest from Man United and Bayern, I can't see him stay. If he stays, then he just wants to certify that he's going to be a loser for the rest of his career.
Just to add on to that as well, and we know how difficult Levy can be. He can't even be stubborn now, because 2 windows ago, Kane stayed and Levy promised him, wait, give us another year. It ended up being another 2 years because they signed Haaland, but Levy just said, give us another year, then you'll kind of grant his wish. I don't even think Kane goes for that much now, because a year left, and I just think Levy's going to grant him his wish. I think a club can sign him for probably 70 to 80, whereas before, two summers ago, it would have been 9 figures, it would have been 100 million plus. But yeah, Kane for me is 100% gone. I think Son stays though. I know you said earlier, Alan, you think Son goes as well. But I think Son stays.
He signed a new contract not that long ago, maybe like a year ago he signed it.
And you know why, Roy, do you know why I think he stays as well? He's not really put himself in good stead. He's had his worst season since being a Spurs player.
Yeah, also true.
I don't know who would rate. Obviously, I still rate him, but off this season, I don't know who will be in for him like that.
You know what? While we're doing this, let's just shift away from the Newcastle Tottenham game and kind of keep it in the same realm where we're talking about top 4. We already know Man United is a little bit clear of everybody else in the top 4, but you got Newcastle there. You got Liverpool coming around. You got Tottenham. Are we saying Tottenham, that's it for them now? That's done. Top 4 done for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Wait, why are Man United clear? We're on the same points. I know they've got a game in hand now, but
no, he means like certified top 4. Like
I think because they're just a little bit wiggle room because they have that game in hand and everything.
We have a game in hand, and we're.
So if they lose the next game, then wiggle room's gone, and we're back to square one of this conversation. Then.
To be fair, I actually genuinely Tottenham and Man United, I don't actually know how they are where they are in the league this season. Genuinely, that's actually.
And why is no one mentioning De Zerbi's Brighton?
I was just about to mention that, bro.
No, we're here to talk about it. Let me know. 1 second. Let me put the top 4 on the table in front of us. Okay. So right now we have exclude Man City and Arsenal, of course. You got Newcastle, you got Manchester United, you got Tottenham, you got Aston Villa, you got Liverpool, and you got Brighton. Up until Brighton, it's 49 points. And Newcastle, who are currently 3rd, and Manchester United are currently 3rd. There's a 10-point gap between those clubs. What do you guys think? Who's going to actually get the top 4 this season? Because this is the Liverpool section of the show also. Because Liverpool just won back-to-back games for the first time in a while. They beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. And now they're trying to put themselves in that hat also. Do you think it's just going to be the same 2 people stay, or do you think it could change? Everyone in the comment section, let me know right now. Who do you think is going to get the last?
I think it stays how it is now.
Yeah,
yes, I'm going to repeat what I've been saying every week. I've been saying this every show. Newcastle and Manchester United are not dropping out of the top 4. It's just that simple. I haven't changed. What's that?
Sam, I'm not. Don't
Spurs are
worry.
finishing 8th.
Spurs are just going to drop. I'm just talking about who finishes in top 4. I don't think it changes. I don't know who's going to be 3rd and who's going to be 4th. Maybe us and Newcastle, we're going to be rotating. We're going to be playing musical chairs for the next 7 games or whatever it is, 7-8 games. But I don't think it changes. We're way too consistent in our results.
Sam says, "Do not say top 4."
I'm with you, brother. Sam, I wasn't going to say us at all, because the things with my club. We'll lose against West Ham midweek, but then smash Spurs. That is us. That literally epitomizes Liverpool. I think we'll probably get 6th at a push. I think Newcastle finish 3rd, United 4th. I'll say Brighton 5th. I think Villa, they've been on an amazing run of form, but I think it's going to dip in the final running. I think they've kind of bit off more than they can chew. I do rate what Emery's doing. He's an amazing manager, but I think you're going to start to see some shaky results from Villa.
Didn't they already tie this week? They tied with Brentford already. So
yeah, they did the last equalizer against Brentford.
Just so we can get everyone in the panels too, and everyone in the comment section, give me your 2. Everyone's saying Newcastle, Man United.
Yeah.
If Brighton had 1 more game in hand with the same points, I would have said Brighton, but I just think they're too far behind.
They've got a
I'm not-
tricky running as well. They got
Yeah,
Arsenal.
yeah, they're running
City.
tough as well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
Liverpool,
think Brighton have got to play the whole top four still because they've got to play us. They've got to play Man United.
They've got to play you,
Gotta
though.
play Arsenal.
Yeah. It was our game. It was our game in hand because on the Carabao Cup final weekend, that's who we were supposed to play, and it's at Newcastle.
Brighton.
Yeah, I think it'll
Brighton
be
are on the
Newcastle and
outskirts.
United. I don't
The
know what
team-
order, but it'll be those two.
The teams that I'm looking at are for top four at least. I personally think Liverpool still have a chance, even though people might think I'm crazy. I think if Liverpool still play Liverpool don't play Man United, they play Tottenham still. I think who else do you play for the remainder of the season?
So we play Tottenham, we play Villa, we play Southampton, we play Leicester. So a lot of relegation
They have
teams.
easy games. Yeah, they have easy games.
Yeah. So with
No,
the
no,
with the
not for
remaining
us.
fixtures,
Yeah, but
No,
you
no,
I
can't.
think
This
if
is the
Liverpool
problem when
are
you're in a
consistent-
relegation battle as well. Like you can't
Yeah,
like
these relegation
discount them
sides
teams
fight for their
because
life, man.
they just pull out a result like
Exactly.
randomly.
We've
Like
got
West
Leicester-
Ham just beat Bournemouth 4-0 today. Like what was
Exactly.
that about?
But we've got Leicester and West Ham away that are both fighting for relegation. I'm fighting to survive, sorry. And our record, bar Leeds last week, our record against the relegation teams away from home
my
is
guy,
abysmal.
bad guy.
Is abysmal. But Aston Villa at home, all our home games, I think we win the rest of the season. I think
Aren't you disappointed in your squad though? Because I see you guys as the biggest yo-yo. One day you're amazing, the next day you
Amazing,
guys
yeah.
are garbage. It makes no
You
sense.
know what? I feel like if Klopp had changed system earlier, Liverpool could have walked into the top four. But
Thank you,
he
Ryan.
stayed with this same 4-3-3 rubbish. If he'd
And-
actually just inverted Trent, played this new 3-2-5 for longer, he would have been steamrolling teams. Like you wouldn't have lost to Bournemouth. I don't think you would have gone 2-0 down to Arsenal and then had to literally fight for your life to get it back. Like I think there are so many results you could have avoided if Klopp changed system earlier, but
It was too
he's
slow.
not with it for too long. And now I
He-
feel like the race is too late.
And
My
you know
fans
what?
won't want to hear this. Just before you go, Gal, our fan base won't want to hear this. But even Trent in this inverted role, it's a facade because if you look at when he's played well, the first half against Arsenal, he struggled. Why? Because they were pressing. The minute Arsenal let him have the ball, he's comfortable. Rocker and McKennie for Leeds, they let him have the ball, he was comfortable. Against Forest, they let him have the ball as well. We have not had a pressing team yet. Me personally, Trent in that inverted role, if he's going to succeed there, we're going to have to cater for him so much, which is going to take away from other areas of our pitch. I think the minute we play a quality team, that I think the Villa game, you might see Trent have a 50-50 game, but I don't trust him in that role. I really don't. For long term anyway.
What about Jota? Jota coming in, he's been amazing. Honestly, Jota is like one of my wife's favorite players. She loved him for a minute, and she put him in her fantasy team, and he's been absolutely killing it for you guys ever since he came back. And it's just like that guy's been a breath of fresh air. Big up Pablo, but yeah, man, Liverpool, man, this season just a yo-yo team, man. We got to move on.
And then I was just going to say, even the Forest game, it's been a story of our season. We won that off individual brilliance. Jota's goal, Salah's finish, which was a very good finish. But whenever we have pressure,
the inability to defend set pieces as well, because they literally cannot defend set pieces to save their life.
And
you know what?
Even us, whenever we come under a bit of pressure, we can see that game could have easily been a draw.
What happened to your defense? You used to have one of the best defenses.
When your midfield can't run anymore and they're not covering up for certain players' deficiencies, that's what happens. But yeah,
they lost the intensity in that midfield. That midfield that covered up for years for their
Liverpool
defensive.
used to have the most physically dominant midfield on the planet, and now they're relying on that same midfield who are all like 4 or 5 years older, and they didn't replace the physicality that they lost in Henderson losing his legs and Wijnaldum going.
They went from runners in that midfield.
Like if you add some athletes like Bellingham, Caicedo,
which I do think we'll do this summer, but it's 4 summers too
get
late.
back to where you were before.
You know what? We're just gonna bring it back full circle one more time. Alan, who's your actual top 4 before we move on from this whole thing?
You're on mute, Alan.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Alan.
Yeah, no, as it is now. I said last week that Aston Villa had an outside chance, but they went in straight away. The curse of Alan just blew it out of the water for them. They went and dropped points. So I'm just going to shut my mouth now. Well, actually, yeah.
Don't speak on my club, please. I don't want the Alan curse.
You know what?
That means you should say Spurs are getting top 4.
Guys, call me crazy, but this top 4 is not going to stay in Newcastle and Man United. One of them are going to slip up and make it a little scary for themselves from now until the end of the game.
When you say slip up, do you mean drop outside the top four?
No. This top four is not going to be like this for the remainder of the season. It could end this way, but you're going to see one of the other teams fight for it, and because there's always a fifth team to the last day who fights. So we're gonna find out who that fifth team is. It's definitely not going to be Tottenham.
Normally Leicester.
I don't think it's gonna. What? Leicester's gonna get relegated. What are you talking about?
No. I said it's
No,
normally.
it is normally.
I said it's normally Leicester. They've bottled top four.
Did I hear him correct, or am I tripping? Anyway,
I thought he said Leicester as well. I was like, I swear they're in like.
Yeah.
Normally.
Guys, this is the Arsenal segment of the show now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not looking forward to it. I literally went on vacation yesterday. Basically, just said no content, nothing. I didn't even do any match reactions to any games or anything on my TikTok. I've been out of commission since Friday, and the reality is, before you guys even go, I'm just gonna keep it straight. Anyone who's sitting here and says it's an excuse to mention that Saliba's out and that's one of the main reasons why we've been dropping points over the last 3 games, come on. You can clearly see that. I'm going to give you guys some stats. Since Rob Holding's been out, we've conceded 9 goals. 7 have come in the last 3 games. Arsenal now only have 1 less goal conceded than Chelsea Football Club, who currently sit 11th in the Premier League. Okay? And forget about everything else that happened in the last couple games. The way that we've dropped points, I've already said it's unacceptable. I've already said that it's annoying, and I've already said that we bottled it against West Ham. We bottled it the other time against Southampton at home. We should not be dropping We should not be dropping points at home against the bottom of the league team when we're at the top of the table fighting for a title race. These last couple of draws have felt like losses because they are based on that running of the games and how it is. You cannot drop any points. But the reality is, as much as everyone here is probably going to tell me the title race is over, it's not over until it's over. We've seen it with Liverpool when Man City dropped points last season in the running. We've seen it before in other races where people have dropped points and the team that was still top held on to it until the end. I think it's going to go a little bit further. We'll find out on Wednesday what really happens. But the game on Friday was a big blow to our title hopes based on the fact that we dropped points. Another game, you can say pressure as much as you want, but I don't even think it's about pressure. I just think it comes down to the fact that we surely cannot defend with Rob Holding in our back four. It's ridiculous how bad of a drop-off it is in build-up play, how much of a passenger he is in our build-up play, how much that we don't even look at him as a passing outlet. The goals that we conceded, you can look at Ramsdale and say he made a massive error for the opening goal. You can look at Partey and say he's not even looking like a midfielder at this point. What is he doing? Like Latvia is a 19-year-old and he ran our show. It was embarrassing as an Arsenal fan watching the first 15 minutes and how we capitulated 2 goals so quickly. But the worst part about the whole game was not the goals that we conceded. It's the fact that we didn't switch into gear and we didn't actually play football until the 80th minute. Mikel Arteta made substitutions that changed the game and made us more attacking, but he could have done this earlier. We could have done something, clicked into gear earlier. Our defense was the problem, but near the end of the game, it looked like our whole mentality was the problem because the way that we approached the last 20 minutes, if we approached that maybe even 20 minutes earlier, we could have got a winner, easy, but we didn't. And we got to check ourselves mentally. We got to check our defense. We need Mikel Arteta to make the right mistake, the right changes. And whatever you guys say or do, call us bottle jobs. I honestly, at this point, as Arsenal fans, we have to sit back and say, you know what, our team did that to us, and we do deserve it. It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first. As an unbiased Spurs fan, I don't give Arsenal any smoke on that. Have you ever seen the film The Butterfly Effect? Anyone?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have.
So basically the butterfly effect is you do something and it has a ripple effect and then you can change, like if something didn't happen then it will go different and all that. This all stems from that incident with Granit Xhaka against Liverpool, and I'll tell you for why. Granit Xhaka doesn't get the Liverpool crowd riled up and all that. You guys are comfortable in that game. You're literally tearing Liverpool apart. Ron can agree in that game. Before that happened, you were destroying. Thanks, Jack. In regards to, it's silly. In regards to that, you were tearing Liverpool apart. It was one way and all that. That happens. It gets the crowd up, and Liverpool gives them something to fight for. They get back into the game in a draw to all. And since then, that doubt has crept into Arsenal, and you've seen it happen repeatedly. You then go away to West Ham and destroy them. You're absolutely all over them in 10 to 11 minutes. Trust me. I felt I was on the receiving end of that today with Newcastle. You're absolutely getting destroyed. You were destroying them. And then all of a sudden, that one little thing happens without a penalty, and you see Arsenal change completely, and it seeps in regards to Saka, and he didn't hold his nerve, and he missed a penalty as well, which would have made it 3-1. Then it made it come back to 2-2. And then in that game against Southampton, although you got the point, you could see the fear, you could see the pressure, you could see everything on those Arsenal lads' faces. And I'll be honest, I said that you would have crumbled well earlier in the season. You haven't. You got to the end of the season, like the home stretch and all that. So I'll give you absolute credit for that in regards to the fact that you're there and still running. But if you don't get a single point from Man City on Wednesday, is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're going to
Wednesday.
have to do something. You're going to have to do something that no team has done to Man City under Pep. Like, because they'll be 2 points behind you and all that. That's basically beat them in the running, because Liverpool were already way ahead when Liverpool won the title before this point of the season. You have to overcome Pep and Man City in the running with 2 games in hand and 2 points behind you. If you somehow do get over the line with the circumstances as it is, if you lose to City, then credit to Arsenal, credit to you guys and all that, and I hate saying that. But if you lose, that's 2 points, 2 games in hand, and I only see it going one way. And Miguel, although you say I always give Arsenal shit and all that, a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, I was saying on here saying Arsenal were favourites. So I am not just giving the Man City props, not giving it to Arsenal.
Yeah, I know.
But the inevitable looks like it's happening, which happened under a young team like Spurs when we were young and all that. We every single crucial moment that came up, we bottled it and all that. And it's a learning curve, but you've got a quality squad together now that if it does go wrong, I think you'll be there or thereabouts or challenging for the next 2 or 3 seasons. And it's go again, learn from the experience. But I only see it going one way. If you do not get a point against City, it's going one way.
I'm going to leave it there for a second, Alan. Big up everyone in the comment section. Make sure you do hit that like button. I have a question for everyone in the panel and the people watching right now. Do you think this is down to pressure, or do you just think this is down to individual errors and injuries? Let me know, because I'm putting it more on individual errors and injuries, and some people are putting it on pressure. I'm going to go to you, Kendall. What are you saying?
I know this is not what you want us to say, but it's genuinely a mixture of both, because I think that the injuries and the individual errors, you guys have, not you specifically, but like the media, everyone who's backed Arsenal fans have all said how good Mikel Arteta's system is, how like good the team is playing. So one player removed from that shouldn't affect the system too much, to the point where you are literally now at a point where everyone's calling you bottlers and cumblers. It shouldn't. Like for me, for example, just speaking from my point of view, because I think aside from just ignoring City out of the completely because they've been a system team for however long, but Pep adapts and changes. Aside from you guys, we've probably been the most consistent like system team in the league. We don't drop players out of the fold very often. We play pretty much the same start 11 week in, week out. And when we lost Bruno, for example, we were still okay. When we lost Wilson, for example, we were still okay. And these are players that would not have normally been okay in previous times, like under a manager. Like honestly, Sean Longstaff has played every game bar the Aston Villa game, which we lost this league season. He's played every single game. Before I was like, see you later, I'll drive you to wherever you're going. Everton 5 million last season. I was like, see you later. Like, do you know what I mean? And now I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. Like my dad would say today, like, if you look at the midfield talent and stuff in the league, like Sean Longstaff is literally worth at least 30 million now to us. Like at least 30 million to us as a team, because that's how good he's become. So for me, I don't quite like, not, as I say, not you specifically, because I don't know how you've been looking at the season, but for people who've said that Mikel Arteta's system's really, really good and he's coaching so good that the team is working as a unit, and that's why they are where they are. I don't like the injury excuse, because it is, in the grand scheme of things, only one player removed from that system. So I don't really get that.
It's not one player. It's also Tom. It's also big up Gunners. Big up Slens in the house, man. Big up Slens. You guys did I heard your talent.
He's on to you today. I know he is.
Yeah,
Slens
big up
has been on my case.
I seen him on my TikTok, and then he jumps on here. Big up to Slens. But yo, it's not one injury. A lot of people are making this assumption that it's just Saliba. If we had Tomiyasu, I know it's an if, and people are going to say this is an excuse, but if we also had Tomiyasu, we'd be better equipped to deal with this injury as we were earlier in the season. Whenever we had injuries, we had someone that were better equipped. It's multiple injuries in the same position.
No, I understand
Miguel,
that.
let
But
me
I
say
mean,
something.
from the system that's been winning, it is really only one player removed because Tommy Yassi wasn't playing every single game, was he? So it's just Saliba in that respect. But yeah, and I think the pressure is just at the end of the season. Unfortunately, I know it comes down to it, and everyone was using this excuse, but Man City are more equipped to deal with that pressure because they're used to it. And obviously with the kind of doubt seeping in and they're very young players and it just seems like everything's going wrong week on week. It doesn't help. Like, it just doesn't help the situation when you're not equipped to deal with it. But yeah, Safi, you can go.
1 second. Everyone, before you go, Staffy, everyone in the comment, everyone here, is it an excuse or is it a fair point to point out that Rob Holding is not on the same level as Saliba?
No, Miguel, we can agree. We all know that Saliba is miles ahead of Rob Holding. We understand that. But I think Kendall said it perfectly. When you're especially a team that's built on systems, the reason you're a system team is when someone goes out, you can replace him easily. Yeah, you'll notice a little bit of a drop in the levels because Saliba is like an international, a French international, whereas Rob Holding, honestly, he shouldn't even be at Arsenal. So I get the drop off. But you're a system team. You guys were bragging about Gabriel Jesus getting injured and not feeling that pressure when Nketiah covered for him. So you can't say, oh, well, look at us. We're still winning without Jesus. But then when you start losing because one player is injured, you're like, oh, look, now we're losing because one is out. It just like, it doesn't make sense when it's good for you, you brag about it. And when it's against you, you're like, oh, see, this is the reason why this is happening. And that, and another point, bro, like, I know you're trying to say, is it a reason? Is it an excuse? I think it's an excuse because a lot of people predicted that. And when you look at last season, you battled top 4 at the same stage. And I remember you guys were on a good run right before you battled that top 4 to Spurs. So when you have so many players that drop off the performance at the same time, you have to start blaming it on the nerves. And these nerves lead to bad performances. Saliba didn't need to be on the pitch for Saka to make that penalty. Zinchenko, when he got megged by Trent, he didn't need Saliba to be on the pitch so he can defend properly. When Ramsdale passed that ball to what's his name, Alcaraz or whatever, from Southampton, when he passed the ball to that attacker, he didn't need Saliba to be there. So these are like 3 reasons why you drop points that you can't really say, well, if Saliba was there, we would have avoided that. You just have to really look back at like what Kendall said. City is very well equipped to deal with this situation. This is why they kick off in April and most teams slow down in April because their players have been there, have done that, and they have that elite mentality because of their manager, first of all, that he installed in most of these players for years. I'm not bashing Arsenal for that. You might get to that point, you know, maybe in a couple years, maybe next season, you know, you guys get yourself in a similar situation and you start doing that. But as an outsider, and I'm really not trying to bash you, I think it's 100% just nerves, and maybe it's a little bit of an excuse to scapegoat Saliba and Rob Holding.
Just before you go, Rom, big up Slens in the house saying De Zerbi always gets hype, but Eddie Howe doesn't seem to get seems to get dismissed.
Yeah, from particular people like, sorry, Alan, not you, like Royston over here, who literally is obsessed with Brighton doing well, obsessed with De Zerbi. Obsessed with Brighton doing well because his team is just so crap that he's putting his eggs in other people's baskets and loves De Zerbi. Said Potter was better than Hal, by the way. I don't forget that, Roy. And yeah, so because of people like Roy, talent ID in the absolute.
And this is not pre-recorded. Why does this guy always do this?
Ask us to do something to show you that it's live. Tell me to like give you a thumbs up or something.
Better than Potter. You know what? That was correct. I was wrong about Potter being better. So you know what? I'll apologize on stream because I'm just such a gentleman.
However, you said Potter was better than Howe.
Yeah.
I said
consistently.
Okay. I'm very much back my players, back my manager person, and I don't like losing debates. So when
actually, I think the quote I think it was Roy Potter is clear of Howe. By the way,
you know what? No, because. Like I said, I don't really like to lose debates. I like to back my manager, back my players. So when the whole Potter Howe thing was brought up, I was like, oh, like, but what's his name? Eddie Howe did a good job at Bournemouth, brought them up from League One, kept them in the division. And when they literally had the shoestring budget, the smallest stadium in the league, and all this stuff. And now at Newcastle, he's doing well. And then As in, I thought, as in me personally, like I've got a set style that I really, really like, and Potter at Brighton was more similar to that than Howe, Eddie Howe at Bournemouth
right now.
and Eddie Howe at Newcastle. So my natural preference just made me think Potter was a better manager. However, time has clearly shown that Eddie Howe has taken Newcastle to a completely different stratosphere. Potter took us to a completely different stratosphere in a negative way, and Howe's probably proven to be the better manager. However, I do still think De Zerbi is a better manager, even though he is less proven. But I do think tactically, his football is. I like a more dominant style of football that's attacking, creates lots of chances, and Newcastle do that, just not to the level Brighton do, and that's why I just think, even though he hasn't been in this league for longer, from his work at Sassuolo and Shakhtar and now Brighton, like he's done a fantastic job. He'd even got Pep Guardiola copying his tactics, which is, I'm well aware, Slens. You don't need to tell me for the 50th time.
1 second. Just before Rom has to leave at 10:30. So I just wanted to get him to say his take on Arsenal, and also Rom, just before you leave, also maybe you can segue us into the Manchester Derby FA Cup final.
I know Staffy would love that, but no, quickly on the on the Arsenal topic. You're very reminiscent of us. I think it's a lazy analysis to say the reason why you've had a fall off is because of Rob Holding, because when you have such a well-oiled machine, you can take out a cog, put in another cog, and it's fine. We did it in the season we won the league, Van Dijk was the constant, but Matip and Gomez would interchange. When Robbo came out, Tsimikas would come in, Origi, Minamino. Like, when the system's there, it doesn't really I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but the drop-off shouldn't be that big when you've got a great system. For me, I think it's down to what Staffy said. I just think it's a bit of both. It's inexperience, but mainly individual errors, because them things can happen even if Saliba was in the team. So for me, it don't really make much of a difference if I can't really say Arsenal fell off because Saliba's been injured. But in terms of what the main reason I think it's the pressure, because you've got, and I know a lot of people say you do have a young team. They've never been here. This is the first title race for many of them. But what I didn't like is when Gabriel Jesus after the game said we don't really have champions. Jorginho, Euros and Champions League winner. Jesus, multiple-time Premier League winner. Zinchenko, multiple-time Premier League winner. Partey won it at Atletico Madrid. You do have champions in that squad. I think that was lazy from Jesus to say that after the game. But I think the majority of your squad, they haven't been here. And us Liverpool fans tried to warn Arsenal fans, look, City are a different beast in the running. They are different. Like, they're conditioned for this time. They were like, oh, you're just saying this because you don't want the whole Klopp and Arteta comparison without. No, they're going to turn it on and you will start to feel the pressure. And you're seeing it now. Do I think the title race is completely done? No. I saw a graphic today with 8 games to go. I saw a graphic today with 8 games to go. We've bottled it. The great Fergie United team bottled it. In football, weird things can happen. With all that being said, though, I do think City win it. But to say it's completely over, I think it's just...
It can't be over until after Arsenal play City at the
City, exactly.
Facts. And
Can I
also...
just quickly respond to Ron about... I don't think it was lazy from Jesus to say that. What people do in this instance is he's done it before, not obviously specific thing he says, is that he's basically trying to deflect pressure from them. So if they start meeting, we've got all these winners and everything, like we should be winning all that, it puts more pressure on them. He's basically deflecting. Mancini, when Man City first won their title, they were 7 or 8 points behind Man United, as you said. And Mancini went, well, United's going to win the title because they're playing all these teams that are just going to fold and basically back out, and just let them walk to the title. They dropped so many points because every team was like that. No, we're not just going to let Man United walk all over us. And they showed up and they cost Man United. So it's all mind games. It's just if Arsenal can play mind games with such a young squad.
What a great segue, Alan. What a great segue. We're going to talk about United and a potential chance to win an FA Cup final and win a title there. But before we do that, Sunderland could get promoted, Kendall. How would you feel about a Sunderland back in the Premier League?
I'd rather that never happened again in my life. But if it did, I'm like not worried anymore. It doesn't bother us too much. But actually, I also don't think they'll get promoted this season. I think it'll probably be next season. They played decent football to them, fair enough. But I don't think they'll get promoted this season.
Kendall, don't you like your rival in the Premier League? As much as I despise United, I would never want them to get relegated. I love the rivalry.
No,
If
that's
Tottenham had a
that's
chance to get relegated,
it's
Arsenal
You'd won it.
masochism.
Yeah.
You'd won it, innit?
Masochism to want your rival in the Premier League, especially when they don't have to be. So honestly, for me, I'm not like that. Like I don't need that extra pressure every year. Although, despite the fact now, I'm much more comfortable with the fact that
You
they'll
bully
never
them.
be
You
able to
should be excited.
they'll
For them.
never
Yeah,
be
you're
able
gonna
to compete with
steamroll
us.
them
So
anyway.
I'm more comfortable with
Kendall.
that. But I'd just rather not.
They're going to be your Everton. They're literally going to be your Everton.
Kendall, you could
Yeah, you're
destroy
gonna
them
be sunning them, man.
Yeah, you could destroy them every season. Listen, I'm so petty that one time when we lost to Newcastle last season, I took FIFA and I beat them like 35-0. So imagine if Tottenham had a chance to get relegated. I've done that so many times for them in FIFA. I've relegated their ass, and anytime I would get fired, I would rehire myself to Tottenham, and then have another 6 months, just getting them to get relegated again.
And Gal, quickly, just before I go, to the FA Cup final, because me and Staffy, we've been going back and forth.
Yeah,
I said United would get knocked out of both cup competitions within 4 days. Okay, I was right about one and wrong about the other one, but now
What did I say though? What did I say?
You did. You
I said
you
we'll be out from
Sevilla,
Sevilla.
and you'll
Right.
beat Brighton. Yeah,
There's a
What I
reason
will
there's
say
the
now,
name of
though,
Don
the
in my
FA
name.
Cup.
I'm a Don for a reason.
What I will say
Yeah,
now,
beating
I
Brighton's
think
a little bit of it's a fine edged sword that because it was penalties and it was a missed penalty. So
Well, when I was told
Yeah.
that we were
Yeah,
going to
but
get
Kendall,
battered,
penalties
so
in a row.
Kendall, you can't do that because
Yeah,
if you win a trophy by penalties, you don't care. Like just ask Roy. We won 2 cups for penalties, and we don't care.
Kendall,
Oh,
the
painful,
FA
man.
Cup final, the Europa League, when we got knocked out using via penalties. You don't really care once the penalties is happening.
no, I'm sure you don't care,
Yeah.
but I just want
just
to
quick-
sprinkle a little bit of
quickly
realism on there.
On that final, I think there's pressure on both teams because more on City. But the reason why I'd say is pressure on United because United can be the club to stop even the start of the treble because I think Premier League and Champions League are after that FA Cup final. So United not only can stop City doing
no, the league is
the treble,
before.
they can be literally the team to do it. But on the other hand, City will have an incentive. We can literally kick off the potential treble and beat our arch rivals. So I think there's pressure on both clubs. To be fair,
No, the
Fair
league
enough.
ends
And
before.
I'm
the
just
FA
gonna
Cup
say this
final.
before you go, Staffy. What on earth? People, no
Yeah,
one's
it does,
questioning
you're right,
Arteta.
you're right.
No one's questioning Arteta. Anyone who's questioning Arteta, you can question his ability and you can question his decision
I
making.
know certain people who
But don't go
Yeah.
to an extent where you say Arteta out. That's crazy. Anyways,
Rom.
go ahead, Rom. Have a good one,
Big
man.
up.
Yeah, Rom.
Smash the
Rom
likes,
for-
people.
Smash the like.
I'll see you on Twitter.
Before we go to you, Staffy, I'm just gonna go to the panel. Who do you guys? What do you guys think about the FA Cup semi-final games? City smashing Sheffield
But
United.
then everyone knew City were going to roll over Sheffield United, and I will like Kendall has made it very clear. I'm a big De Zerbi fan, so I thought he was actually going to beat United somewhat comfortably, and yeah, United really made it really tough for them. Didn't let them build up from the back as they like to. They were very dangerous in transition and easily could have scored. So it was actually a lot more even. Brighton controlled the ball as they always do, but yeah, United made it a very even game. And I thought De Gea's penalty record, I was like, oh, surely he's not going to just suddenly turn into like Peter Cech in the 2012 final and just start going the right way all the time and saving them. But yeah, he got lucky that March missed his penalty, and United are in the FA Cup final.
Big up
Yeah,
Vice in the comment
trouble now.
section. Vice, that agenda is never gonna run. Anybody who thinks they can run an Arteta out agenda this season specifically, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. That's not happening.
Igal, I'm telling you, I know certain fans that we all speak to who are Arteta out the moment second place is secured.
They're idiots. I'm sorry.
Like, me personally, I don't understand it, but I know people who will be Arteta out if Arsenal do not win the league.
You want to know what? I actually wonder if your agenda is to get Arteta out no matter what at any cost. Basically, you don't rate the guy. You think he's a terrible manager, and this season hasn't been able to turn you around and say, you know what, I can see some future with this team and this manager. Then you're never going to rate him, and you're forever going to have your agenda. Your agenda means more to you than Arsenal have being successful. Because I don't think changing Mikel Arteta right now makes sense for our football club.
It doesn't serve any benefit.
So
I
think-
find it weird too. People who, sorry, Alan, I find it weird
That's
too. People who are like Arteta out actually care more like that. They can say "I told you so" when Arsenal bottle the title. Like I don't get that. Like, that's
that's
weird to me.
It's such a weird mentality to have. Like,
But
I'd
you know what
rather
the
be
thing is?
proven wrong and see my team win than be
I
proven
think-
right and see my team lose. It doesn't make sense.
The worst part about it is high standard FC. Have you guys heard of this? High standard FC, which is I have high standards, hence I don't want Arteta. But this guy who's implementing these high standards and getting us to these levels, which you never even expected. The same people probably said we we're going to finish 5th this season are now saying they want him out for finishing 2nd potentially. That's crazy.
So
That's crazy.
I think the person who I've seen and all that in regards
Yo,
to
we got to bring it back to United though.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying, I think the reason why they're saying about Arteta is because they are seeing what's happened in the last 3 games, and they're seeing it as that you're bottom of the title, where a other manager, like a world-class manager, might get you over the line when doing that. So that's the reason, because they believe you're losing it. If you then go on to win it from here, then obviously it's like one of them where you were wrong, and obviously Arteta was the man to see it over the line. But it's because some people are seeing it looks like you're bottling it. I think I had some Spurs fans, obviously not on socials, but when Spurs were trying to catch Chelsea, but then bottled it and all that, they were like, "Get Poch out." He bottled it and all that, and especially after the Champions League final, I heard about Poch. It got him in every fan base. It's not just one deluded person, or like as some people say, it's somebody being deluded. It's just you have that in every fan base. As soon as something goes wrong, it gets the person out, and they've got their reasons for it. That's
One second. The word deluded is overused. The same way the word negative is overused.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not using that. I'm just saying that's what other people say.
I've seen Kendall get called negative, and that's crazy to me. I've seen people get called deluded that are not even close to being deluded, like Alan, for saying that he thinks his team can win a trophy. I've seen people. You can be positive and not be called deluded. You can be positive and back your team. Roy, you probably get this. You've probably seen this a lot on Twitter Spaces, if you know what I mean. People are just going to throw out words all the time. Being positive is not delusional. Being delusional is saying that Leicester's going to win the league this season, or West Ham's going to win the league this season. That's delusional. If being negative is saying that you think if Newcastle don't get top 4, you want to sack Eddie Howe. That's crazy. There's 2 extremes. Being in the middle, there's nothing wrong with it. But calling people in the middle now delusional or calling them negative is kind of weird. We gotta understand the perfect balance. And I feel like in this world, I'm called delusional every single day. Guess what? I do say delusional shit, and I back it. But when I'm being balanced, you can never hear me out because people are just gonna call me delusional. It's messed up.
That's a good comment, bias, deluded, and that's the thing. I just don't like people can have their opinions and thoughts and all that, as long as it's not inflammatory or incendiary against people and everything like that. Let people think what they want to think and all that. If it starts becoming toxic or abusive, that's when you question it. But just if people think the club's going wrong or something could happen to do better, then just let them think it.
Facts. Let's bring it back to the Man United Manchester City final. Mustafi, how you feeling, man?
About the final or about today?
Everything. Just a little. Give us a quick little cliff notes of what you think about the game and going into the final now.
The game went exactly how I thought it would be. I told people that we will not get turned over. Kendall, the only reason I'm talking about, I'm not bragging about a penalty shootout win versus Brighton. It's just like you're on Twitter. You've seen what everyone's saying. You've seen the odds that people are putting against us. Seeing Gabiak Bonhar go on, what's the show that they go on?
TalkSport.
TalkSport.
I honestly don't think he's had a good take in his life, to be fair.
That guy said he's faster than Mbappe. He's crazy.
That guy's stupid.
He said he's faster than Mbappe. Roy, did you hear this? Agbonlahor said he's faster than Mbappe.
He spoke absolute rubbish about us for a year, right? And then came and cover one of our games and was like, I don't think they like me in Newcastle. I don't know why. I was like,
the people in the comments.
He's horrible. Like his takes
are horrible.
There's no way Bonhor's faster than Mbappe. That's not
in his best day. Not in his best day, bro. He just came out and said, Brighton are gonna turn over Man United. Everyone did, and I'm not. Listen, when I got on and you said like you look like you have a serious look on your face, I was actually more disappointed in my fan base today. Because I wake up, I'm excited. I love the FA Cup. It's my favorite tournament outside the Premier League and Champions League. I don't care about the Europa League and that. And I'm excited. FA Cup semi-final. I backed my team. I really thought we were going to win regardless of what happens. And I see my own fan base are complaining before the game. Oh, I'm so worried. Yeah, bro, he's stupid, bro.
Look at that bottom one. Look at that bottom one. Who wins in a foot race between Prime, Aston Villa, and Bonhar? What?
He was such a shit player, bro. Oh my god. But anyways, yeah, it's just like the whole world pissed me off today. But I was more angry at my fan base, making 20-minute compilations about David Hayes' errors. Oh, we're gonna lose 6 to Brighton, and I'm like, where have you guys been all season? Like, not because we got piped up because of Maguire. There's a whole difference between when we play with Maguire in the defense and when he's not in the team. We're a completely different team when he's out of the team. That Sevilla game was not. It was not a resemblance of our season at all. And the game today went exactly how I thought it would be. I thought Luke Shaw would come in at that left center back position next to Lindelof, and we would be way more balanced with and without the ball. Structurally, we were set up very perfect today to not necessarily have a lot of the ball, but even when we didn't have the ball, we were just positioned very well. The positioning of every person from that defense up to the midfield was amazing, and this is why we didn't give them a lot of space. That possession that they have, it was mainly passes from Sanchez to Dunk to Webster. So I would love to get a stat on how many passes and how much possession was between the defense, because I don't care about possession. You had the ball. We kind of controlled the game, because every time we went on a break, we weren't even clinical today. You can see that most of our players that are coming back from injuries are rusty. Martial looked stiff. Rashford looked off it. Anthony's decision-making wasn't well. But if anyone looked like they were going to score a goal the whole game, was us. Because our defense was amazing. Luke Shaw and Lindelof were, if you could share a man of the match, I would split it between them, and I would throw a shout out for Wan-Bissaka for the job that he did on Mitoma. But yeah, man, I mean, I expected a win. I knew it was a tough game. I didn't think my manager would get outclassed by De Zerbi. He's a good manager, but I didn't think he would get outclassed by him or outmanaged by him. Ten Hag did a great sub in the middle of the game when he brought on Fred. That switched the game for us. We started pressing them a little bit higher when we brought on Fred instead of Eriksen, and that changed the whole dynamic of the game. We started winning the ball more in their half than our half. So now you no longer have to build from the back. So great decision by the manager. Brought on Sancho also that caused a little bit of trouble on that left-hand side, And at the end of the day, it came down to luck and penalties. I was watching with my friend. I told him, listen, if De Gea is shit, Sanchez is even worse in penalties. So it's going to come down to who's going to miss the target. And literally it came down to March just completely missing the target, So wasn't our best game, but I expected us to make it through. We have that mentality to make it through. Brighton are not ready for Wembley. They clearly, one of them bottled it. So we're up to the final now. We'll see what happens.
First of all, hairline check. My hairline's not that bad, guys. Come on, stop it.
No, your hairline is fine.
And then let's before we move on any further, I just want to say big up to you, bro. You broke down the game perfectly. I don't think anyone else wants to spend too much time on the Man United Brighton game, because you could break it down in one word, one player's name, Solly March. I feel bad for the guy having a great season.
I'm devastated for him, honestly. I am.
And,
I'm so devastated for him.
Unfortunate that the guy missed his penalty, but
one person who's not devastated for him, Staffy up there. Look at him, he's like, I don't give a shit.
No, he don't care.
I'm only devastated for him because that's his club. He's been at that club his whole career, and he's now stopped him from getting to a final. And I really do think that he's obviously going to be good. Like, you could see he was gutted about it on the pitch, and I'm very empathetic towards.
I was gutted they didn't have a red card during the game, because they should have had a send off on Mitoma earlier in the game. They were getting all the decisions their way. I don't know if you guys watched, but that referee, what's his name? Craig Powson or whatever his name is. That guy is an absolute joke. We had 2 late tackles from Mitoma that if Casemiro would have done those, he would have been sent off from 1, not 2. And somehow he was still on the pitch. And I meant to feel bad for Solly March. I don't feel bad for anyone.
You're not supposed to feel bad for him. We are. But hey, that penalty shootout was hilarious. Now, before we go any further, big up everyone. I think I seen something earlier. How many seasons would you give Arteta? It's not about giving people seasons. Why does this thing always have to be how many seasons would you give somebody? Does everybody here agree with me? If your manager has clear progression season after season, he's going to keep his job. Am I wrong?
Yes, in common sense would say yes, but unfortunately,
it depends what the standard.
A lot of football fans do not hold a lot of common sense.
There's no room for progression. You have to win the league, and if you don't, then it gets to a point where it's like, how long can we accept not winning for? Because obviously now you're still progressing. You're still progressing now.
Next season for Arsenal?
But yeah, it's good. I think
if you don't win the league next season, you've got to
win
a trophy next season.
You should have won a trophy this year.
The Prem, all the champs next season. Like, the trophies will not cut it next season.
For me, compete on all fronts. That's step one, what you have to do. Compete on all fronts. So you can't be knocked out early in cup competitions. You can't be knocked out early in the Champions League. Number 1. Number 2, you have to be fighting for the league again. That you cannot drop off. You cannot lower your standards anymore. We raised our standards this season. We have to maintain it. So I agree with you guys. fight for the title again and potentially try to win it, and also bring in at least one domestic trophy. If we're going to fight on all fronts, at least bring in a domestic trophy. And Champions League, my bare minimum, we cannot get knocked out in the group stages. We have to get to the group stages, out of the group stages, minimum. And I would say even try to get to the semifinals, because it looks like if you win your group, you usually can get to the semifinals. So we haven't done it in a while in the Champions League since 2016. I know Mikel Arteta was a player at them times. Crazy. But hey,
wait, he played for you guys on the last Champions League game?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, it's been that long. Was it the Bayern Munich game, the 5-1? Was that the last time you guys been?
No, he didn't play actually. He played the last time we did the double over Tottenham. I'm mistaken it. But yeah. And also St. Tottenham's Day, but no one really cares because everyone's just so depressed about the Arsenal state that we're in. But regardless, would you guys
last 6 years now?
Let me stop for a second. Would any of you guys change your seasons with Arsenal's right now?
I already said I wouldn't. I'm happy with the progression that we're at.
Wait, what did you say, Gal?
Roy, would you change your season with Arsenal's? Of course.
The two on the bottom would.
Duh. I'm fucking 11.
Me and Kendall are good with our progression. We like our story.
So everyone making it out like Arsenal's people are actually trying to make it out if we don't win the league that we're having this horrendous season. That's ridiculous.
No, if you don't win the league, it's a failure because you did not reach your goal.
Can I just
I would say it's disappointment, but it's not a failure of a season.
No. As in, Gal, you failed to reach your goal. Therefore, it is a failure.
But it's not a failure of a season.
It's no. As in, it's a failure in terms of you didn't meet your objective. That doesn't mean you had a terrible season. Doesn't mean you're a shit football team. In terms of purely not meeting your objective, then it is a failure, unfortunately. But people associate failure with it's got a really bad stigma where it's like, oh, it means just everything's completely crumbled, shit hits the fan, and all that stuff. And then the only reason you failed
at the objective itself. The objective itself.
And then nobody can tell me that Arsenal's objective right now is not to win the title. It's not
if we don't win the league,
progress and get
if you don't win the league,
to win a title. And if you don't, it's a failure because you didn't reach your objective.
If we don't win the league, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a failure of a season. I'm going to say it's a disappointment. We didn't win the league, but at the end of the day, we're going to go again next season. That's my
hold on. I'm not going to have that. If Arsenal win the league, absolutely, I would switch my season for Spurs season for Arsenal. So if we do not win the league, I would not, because no trophies. No one cares who finishes second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and all that. When you go back to Premier Leagues, you see who wins and who's top and all that, and who was champions that season. Now, since we've spoken, everything done streams and all that. Spurs finished second under Poch, and everyone said doesn't matter, 1-0 failure and all that. But no one cares about that. So I'm keeping the same energy what was said about Spurs to what's said about Arsenal. If you do not win the league, it's a failure, regardless. People go, but we weren't meant to. But the person where you are now, you were meant to be. Well, Arsenal fans were like, we can win the league and all that. So now the objective, the narrative changes from you were just aiming for top 4. And when you're in this position of being top for most of the season, you then go, okay, we're going to win the league or we're challenging for the title and all that. So if you don't win from here, it is a failure. At the start of the season, it was to get top 4. So you've overachieved to what you wanted. Now you have to win the title from the position you were in. It's as simple as that.
You know what? I'm not going to say it's a failure, but you guys can say whatever you want. Let's talk about City's treble. Do you guys think City can do the treble? I know, Staffy, you probably think you can beat. Do you think you can beat them in the FA Cup final? First of all,
I don't want to speak about it yet. I feel like it's too premature. The final is 6 weeks away. I don't know what position we're going to be in 6 weeks, and I don't know what position they're going to be in 6 weeks. If the final was tomorrow, I would have zero confidence because we're not in form. We still have some injuries, and they are absolutely flying. But in 6 weeks, we could have some injuries back, or we're going to have even more injuries. They could have injuries, or they could still be healthy and, destroying the league and, in a Champions League final and they're on a high. So I don't know. The only thing I could say, though, is that I am happy that our fate is absolutely in our hands. It hasn't been that that hasn't been the case for the past maybe 5 years, where we're always sitting here relying on other teams to help us out from stopping Liverpool to win the league, stopping City from winning the Champions League, shit like that. I don't want to be the side man anymore. I want to be the guy who, I'll get in that fight and I'll stop you myself. And if I fail, I fail, but at least I tried. So that's the one positive of it. I'm excited to be in a FA Cup final and, controlling our own fate.
Boom. This is the last topic before we wrap up, guys. So let me know, everyone in the comment section, do you think Manchester City are going to win the treble? So give us your odds on City winning the treble. Personally, for me, I give Arsenal a 20% chance of knocking them out of the FA Cup. I mean, sorry, not the FA Cup, the league. And us winning the league. I still think we have a good chance of winning the league. So so that's 20% from their treble right there. That would be basically 40-60 at this point for City, Arsenal in the league. So that's my percentage from that. Man United beating them. I think their chance of Man United beating them is pretty. I would say 50-50 if they get their players back. But right now, once again, it's another 60-40. And Real Madrid beating them is pretty high. So I think them getting the treble, I give them a 20% chance of getting the treble. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's high at all. I think their chance of getting the treble is very low. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
I completely disagree.
Yeah,
Completely on every front. I think that the only thing that I think is in the balance is for me is the league, because obviously Arsenal's still top. I think I've watched Real Madrid most of the season, and they have not played well, at all. They have not played well in the Champions League. They're just been really, really lucky that they've been very clinical, and they haven't necessarily had to play well in the Champions League as of this moment. But league-wise, and I just think City will be too much for them. I think it won't be like a absolute horrendous result or anything, but I think it'll still be a close game. But I just can't see anything other than a City win for the Champions League. And then I just think on form and stuff like that, they're going to at least want at least probably 2 trophies. So yeah, I would say they're probably going to beat Manchester United as well. So yeah, I would say I actually think they've got a pretty high chance of doing a treble this season.
We got someone here in the comments saying 75% chance of them winning. He's saying 70% chance UCL, 80% chance league, 90% chance FA Cup. Wow.
So obviously I watch occasional matches in Spain. So obviously Kendall, I know you're an Atletico Madrid fan and you watch quite a bit of it. So I know Real Madrid haven't been setting the world ablaze in Spain this season, just from what I've seen. But to be where they are in the Champions League, playing not as bad on that, and especially with the way they do perform on the big stage, you still think Man City are a shoe? Do you think they're a shoe?
No, I don't think they're a shoe in. I just think that they've got a very, very good chance of winning that tie.
Okay.
I don't see Pep losing to the same opponent over 2 legs again in consecutive years. I think he would have learned his lessons. He's got a gunman now who, if he had last year, they would have absolutely destroyed them in the first leg. And I just think that I think City are going to have too much for them. And then with the FA Cup, if you get Varane and Leach back, then obviously you guys have a decent chance because you beat them at Old Trafford. You literally beat them at Old Trafford, so it's possible. But I'd give Champions League, even an Italian side in the final. I just think City are gonna just be too intense. The press is gonna be too relentless. I just think
we're not gonna have our center backs for the FA Cup final.
80%. What did you say, bro?
I said we're not gonna have our center backs for this FA Cup final.
Lissandro's
out for the season.
I'll give City
I'll
give probably City like a 90% chance. Then maybe 80% because I've experienced it for the last 2 years now that Madrid don't need to be at their best to get a result. So I'll give them like an 80% chance in the Champions League. And in the league, I think they're going to beat Arsenal. I think that essentially kills their title hopes. So I'll probably give them about 80 as well. So I think they've got a very, very decent chance.
It's crazy, guys. We're sitting here talking about
if Arsenal had Saliba, I honestly think there's a very good chance they could beat City.
I've backed Arsenal the whole season. I've
backed Arsenal the whole season.
Day one, I think he's going to win the league.
You didn't back us. Come on. No, you didn't back us.
Gal, talk to Mo Arsenal. And even in September, when you won maybe like 4 games, I gave all the reasons why I said you're the real deal, and I got laughed at. And now 7 months later, you're literally top of the league. Like I said, your defense against transitions was top tier. Arteta's positional play is top tier. You've got creators, you combine well. Like Partey can hold it down on his own in the midfield while Odegaard and Xhaka do their thing. Like Saliba's doing his thing, Zinchenko's doing his thing. Like I said, you're a complete outfit, and
Fair enough.
unfortunately, Saliba's proven to be a much bigger miss than I think Arsenal fans imagined.
He
And
might be our best player. It's crazy to say.
I can't believe it. This
I don't think he's your
Wednesday
best
game
player,
is
but
so
he's
much
definitely
is
one of the
hinging
most
on it.
important.
Definitely.
You know, if Holding was just semi-competent on the ball, you could actually do a lot better than you are now. If he was just semi-competent,
Bro,
but the fact
they
Yeah, but
don't
I
even
remember when he
pass for
came
him.
in earlier in the season, or like maybe like was this half of the season he played a game and everyone was like, "Oh, Rob Holding's actually really, really good now."
no,
Mikel
Kendall,
Arteta
We
used to
gassed
be-
that was
it.
when
We gassed
that was
it. We beat
that was
Crystal
when
Palace after they
no,
sacked their
that was when
manager.
he used to come on in like the 80th minute to switch to a 5-2-3 to see
Yeah.
our games.
He can.
That's
He
what
can.
guys were gassing Holding.
That's his job. He is a closer. He's not a person you can play for 90 minutes.
Yeah, the guy was right. He literally is a closer. Like you bring him on to see
You
our
guys
games.
all have that guy you can sub in to close out a game to help
Yeah,
you
that
win
we used
the
to do
game.
with Mikel. Whenever we used to want to see out a game, bring on Mikel, and that was it.
There you go. Big up everyone who joined us today. Honestly, really do appreciate it. I just wanted to read this last comment. The January transfer window we can't look back at the January transfer window and say that's the reason why we lost the league, because if we do lose the league, because that's ridiculous. At this moment in time, you could say to us that we were top of the table for majority of the season. We can't blame January. And even after January, Jorginho helped us win against Aston Villa. Trossard helped us win massive performances. So we can't blame that. Of course, I would have wanted Caicedo, but you can't force a team to sell you a player in January if they're not going to sell. Let's be realistic here. But yeah, Alan, treble odds before we go.
Premier League 80%, Champions League 80%, FA Cup 100. I just think without the defenders there for United, I just think they'll take it. And I like Staffy and all that, but I just think Man City are just gonna. Yeah, I think that's gonna be quite easy, to be fair.
You're gonna make my list with Roms now.
There you go. And yeah, I just want to say big up. This has been one of the best shows that we've done in a long time. Unfortunately, Arsenal lost. Drew. So that might be one of the reasons why you guys.
See, it feels like a loss to go. It feels like one.
Newcastle slapped Tottenham, and a lot of people love that, so they came through for that. And we have some haters in the chat, but you know what? You guys love me at the same time. So big up Mo Salad, big up George, big up all the people in the chat, big up Hussam. I'm gonna be going on his show right after this. Big up Staffy for coming on, big up Roy for jumping on, making his debut. Hopefully, I hope to have
guys,
you
everyone
on.
follow me on socials. That's my
Big up
Twitter
Alan,
handle.
big up Kendall, and we're out of here, people. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way out and leave a comment after the video's gone live. We're out of here, people. Have a good one. Peace.
The Zerbi's better.